riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey. With me as always, co-host extraordinaire, Tito to my Jermaine, Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing?
Oh, I am so tired, Garrett.
Are you sick and tired?
Yes, I am.
Because I, frankly, am sick and tired of this week's album.
It turns out if you spend your entire week just dancing like no one's looking, you will be very worn out by the end of that week.
Oh, you and I have had such a different week this week. And I noticed you said dancing like nobody's looking, and I want to get into that for just a moment. But before we dig into that, let's tell the folks at home what album we're talking about.
This week, we are talking about 303's 2008 album, Want.
And Tim, this just, you couldn't get your feet to stop dancing?
No, I don't know what it is about this album. It's really not just my feet, it's my whole body. I got like an arm thing going. Would you like to see my dance?
Maybe later.
Okay.
But probably not. Tim, I have to ask, do you hate this album?
No.
Wait a minute.
Here's the thing. Not yet. I need to get some clarification before I completely make that decision.
Interesting. So you do not hate it yet, but if some of your questions have the wrong answer, you're going to get tipped right into that hate bucket.
That's right. I am teetering on the edge as it is. What about you? Did you hate this?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I hate this. I see zero cultural value to this album.
I mean, that is accurate.
If there's a way to de-evolve, much as the characters did in Super Mario Brothers, the movie, with the great John Leguizamo, you're a big fan of him, right?
Yes, I am.
Right. The entire species was set back, not a lot, let's say a year. We de-evolved 1 year with the production of this album.
Could have been way worse.
I feel like we have some sort of inverse LMFAO situation here, Tim.
I think I'm much more eager to hate this than you were for that garbage album.
Well, that's because you always seem to repaint history in a way that makes me far worse and you far better. That's not how it went down. So maybe you and I are coming at this album from a slightly different place. Tell me, Tim, is this the first time your O has been threed?
It is. I have never even heard of this band before. I heard of them a couple weeks ago when a couple of people, Teague and Melanie, emailed us, and then Kathleen Post-Op Malone on Instagram said we should take a look at this album. This was a good suggestion for our show, but there's a big warning sign that so many people, independent of each other, recommended this, that this was going to be a tough week.
Yeah, I don't know why I had such optimism coming into it. I should have known that most of our listeners are looking to punish us and possibly drive one of us to ending our own lives. Or, hey, there's nothing saying this couldn't be a murder-suicide. And I don't think if anybody listens to every one of these episodes, there will be no questions. No one will come along and say, I wish we knew what happened. It's just so hard to know what's inside somebody's mind that can make them do that. Nope. Go listen to the insanity that they put themselves through for years and years. They drove themselves crazy. Can you give yourself schizophrenia, Tim?
Yes.
Can you give a good friend schizophrenia?
Yes. Can
that schizophrenia be given to a good friend by, say, sprinkling atop a bowl of spaghetti?
Absolutely.
I don't think I trust any of your answers anymore.
You're talking about like a lot of cocaine, right?
Oh, I feel like you're going to spend an awful lot of money giving that person schizophrenia.
Well, you could do crack.
Oh, you know what? You are always looking at ways of cutting costs. That's why this partnership works. And by partnership, I in fact own all of this, and technically you, and you have no say.
But I still own the closet full of crack.
Yeah, well, that's what's in there. You own a closet here.
Yeah,
well, you rent a closet here.
Don't look in my closet.
I will not.
Have you ever, you kind of took the only one, been owed in the 3?
Yeah, no, there's no way to do it back to me. No, I had no idea what this was. Tim, I don't know what it is. So there's, much like you have difficulty reading English and speaking it, for whatever reason, my brain could not read how this band's name is written. Every time I would read it, 3OHL8. What's going on there? Now, I should explain. Folks, if you have no idea what this band is, and good for you, the band spells the name 3, capital O, capital H, exclamation mark, 3, the number, of course, not written out. I'm looking at it right now, and even as we speak, I see 3OH lowercase l 8. Throwholate.
It's not that. It's not that.
No. So yeah, I'd never heard of this. I couldn't even place it in time. Normally, the bands that we do that I've never heard, I sort of have at least a cultural touch point to get myself there, a 6 degrees to garbage music, if you will. I'd never even heard of this. As it is, it may have given me some sort of seasonal dyslexia.
Seems to have done just that.
You're really contributing this week. You and I have no history with this band whatsoever, so let's dig into their past. Give us the history of 308.
308 is from Boulder, Colorado. It's made up of Sean Foreman and Nathaniel Nat Mott, or Motti, perhaps.
Mate.
They had sort of an upper middle class upbringing. Sean, born in Boulder, grew up in Boulder, went to the University of Colorado Boulder, majored in English and math, and then started this band, got married. Really had a hard time figuring out exactly how he got into music.
Yeah, it's a mystery.
Nate, on the other hand, also a Colorado native, he played piano and guitar and began DJing as a teenager and was recording music in his spare time. Went to University of Colorado Boulder to study environmental, population, and organismic biology. Got accepted into med school in 2007, but apparently never went, which is a mistake for both him and us. A quick PubMed search, though, did find one paper he had a hand in writing during his time in college in the Journal of Applied Physiology called Ascorbic Acid Does Not Affect the Age-Associated Reduction in Maximal Cardiac Output and Oxygen Consumption in Healthy Adults.
No shit.
I read it. It didn't really shed any light on today's episode.
Yeah, I could see how it might not be terrifically related.
They met and started 303 in 2004 when they were both in college. Incidentally, the 10th year anniversary of Garrett's college graduation. Go Longhorns.
That's
they
not
named
true.
the band after the 303 area code in Denver. There is a 303 Mafia in Denver, closely associated with the Inglewood Trey Mafia and the Denver Rollin' 30s Crips. So there might be a very short beef, and at the end of it, this band is going to have been beefed pretty goddamn hard.
Yeah, no, beef to death. I do not think that they know how to scrap, and I don't believe they have any gats.
Probably not. It doesn't seem like the kind of guys that would have a crew or any of these things.
Never once in this album do they mention having strapped on a blicky.
You know, I'm not sure that's accurate. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but they
Right.
seem to be doing a Lil Wayne impression. But instead of medical school, they released their self-titled debut in 2007, or self-released, I should probably say. And then they get signed to Atlantic Records, Photo Finish Records pretty immediately. They moved to Denver because Boulder wasn't a big enough town for them anymore, I guess. And we should note for our non-American listeners or those unfamiliar with Colorado geography, Denver and Boulder are basically the same thing. So I don't know why, I guess.
Yeah, that's practically the same place.
Yeah. In 2008, they released the album of the week, Want. They also wrote the theme song that same year for the Real World Cancun called Sex on the Beach, and a poorly received anthem for the Colorado Rockies, the baseball team, not the mountain range.
I don't think anyone was confused.
Oh. But this may be where Scott Stapp got the idea for his 2010 Florida Marlins theme song, Marlins Will Soar.
Well, no, the difference being here, of course, that 303 in that case was commissioned to do that. Now, granted, it was terrible, and I don't know who signed them up for that, but Scott Stapp did that apropos of nothing. He was not asked to do it. It's like that time Bon Jovi wrote music for Young Guns 2 that no one asked him for.
After they released these two awesome singles in this second album, they play around Colorado venues for a while, including a Denver stop on the 2008 Warped Tour. From there, they sign to the rest of the 2008 Warped Tour, and I have to say, they really don't fit the aesthetic of the Warped Tour, right?
They don't fit the aesthetic of music. They don't fit the aesthetic of any particular genre of music, and not in a good way.
Yeah, it's not like one of these things that they're blending together a whole bunch of things. They're just, it's noise.
They're impersonating. These are flim-flam men. They're hucksters, Tim.
How
They're
old are you, Garrett?
Snake 300.
But just to be clear, you were alive and ripping people off during the Great Depression.
Oh, well, yes.
Okay.
Maybe not in this particular incarnation, but of course.
Not the most recent Depression, but the one before that.
Right.
They move on. They do MTVU's Spring Break, Mile High Music Festival at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, the Alternative Press Tour, Kiss the Summer Hello, the 2009 Warped Tour, and then the Reading and Leeds Festival.
Neat.
Yeah, for a couple of guys that just seemingly on a lark said, let's put off med school for a year and make some garbage music. This is a pretty good showing. annoying.
This feels, Tim, like a poor man's Texas toast.
We're not making electronica, all right?
No.
Okay.
And I'm glad you pointed that out. I don't mean necessarily in the style of music. I think that this is a couple of 1-2 friends that said, you know what? We could make an album. They wrote a few songs just joking around. And then they're like, God damn it, we have like 12 tracks here. I bet we could probably be like a garbage band that makes a bunch of money. If you get into med school, you got to imagine you know how to apply yourself and focus. It's not law school, all right? You don't just let anything... They probably just did it as I hate to say it, but this is definitely, if not a goof, it is at least an elaborate joke between two friends.
That's one of the answers to one of my questions that's pushing me toward not hating this.
Okay, that's kind of fair. So I don't know that much about this band, so I don't know how long did the joke go?
It's continuing to today.
Okay, not funny anymore. Now you're buying into your own nonsense.
Yeah.
You need to go get a real job.
The first album, the self-titled thing, could have been a goof. You get signed to an Atlantic Records subsidiary. You start taking yourself real seriously. Led Zeppelin was on that. 308 was on that.
I know I would let it go to my head.
Yeah.
Hell, when I get a good parking spot, I can't shut up about it.
Yeah, it's really annoying. It was really annoying at your family's Thanksgiving this year. You parked in the driveway. Like that was set. You know what? We don't need to get into it.
I wouldn't mind if we did, though.
Let's not. Also in 2009, they remixed the second single from this album, Starstruck. They get Katy Perry on that, so again, probably not a goof at this point. They release a new song for Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland soundtrack, a movie I reluctantly have to endorse to support my fellow Tims.
God, I hate you.
2010, they released their third album, Streets of Gold, and then they get sued by Diamond Dallas Page, Garrett's fourth favorite professional wrestler after Ric Flair, Bret the Hitman Hart, and Randy Savage, the Macho Man himself. They were
Hitman's out, actually.
Really?
I've replaced him with The Undertaker.
They were sued for copyright infringement because of the diamond cutter hand gesture, which is basically the cover of Streets of Gold, as well as their first album. And if you look at the cover of Once, it's the hand gesture is forming the roots of the trees. I don't know how well this lawsuit went for either party. Diamond Dallas did get some money from Jay-Z in a pretty similar lawsuit, so he probably got something out of them.
How do you copyright a hand gesture? I'm going to copyright waving.
They won't give it to you. It's got to be something unique.
Didn't we have an album not long ago that made reference to somebody possibly named the Bye Bye Man?
That doesn't sound right. That sounds like one of your terrifying dreams again.
In that case, I will be known as the Bye Bye Man. And
I don't know. Stop turning your nightmares into other people's realities. It's funny, but stop.
I'll be like a pro wrestler, I guess. I don't.
No.
God, I hate wrestling.
You'll be in the closets of children. Just bye-bye. I know exactly how this goes.
Tim, the whole purpose of the Bye Bye Man is to copyright waving, and then I start cashing in left, right, and center.
2013, they released the album Omens, and then they performed with Kesha on American Idol. They also did a music video with Blues Traveler. You like Blues Traveler, right?
I like that one album, but we should totally do it.
And then in 2015, they released the first single from their new album. It's called My Dick. They get signed to Fueled by Ramen Records. Currently, Fueled by Ramen's stable of artists includes 21 Pilots and Dashboard Confessional, but they've also got such luminaries on the other end of that scale, such as Sublime with Rome and Jimmy Eat World.
Yikes.
They go on the 2017 Warped Rewind at Sea, which is a cruise ship that traps a bunch of people on a boat with Simple Plan, Good Charlotte, 308, and forces them to endure nightly concerts. At one of these, they had a songwriting workshop where they wrote a song called Sauce Daddy, and then they performed that song the next night. Sauce Daddy, incidentally, is officially the worst way to use the word sauce or the word daddy. There's a lot of competition in both those categories.
That's true, but I completely, wholeheartedly agree. So this is a Warped Tour cruise ship.
That's right.
We have to go. I don't know about you, Tim. I don't think we've ever had the cruise ship conversation. Personally, and listen, I love boating. You know that. I love boating as much as the next man.
Yeah, you're a yachtsman.
I am a yachtsman. But the idea of being on one of these cruises, the cruise culture does not seem like a demographic I'm going to get along well with.
It's a group of people that actively seek out a bad vacation.
Well put. Actively seek out a bad vacation. Now, the only way I think you can make this worse is to then trap me on said boat with the stable of artists that you've listed previously. We have to go, as we've mentioned on previous episodes, and if you haven't heard them, what are you doing? But Tim and I like to challenge one another, and this sounds possibly like the ultimate challenge. I don't doubt that there's a chance one of us may jump overboard and just risk swimming home, or possibly commandeering the ship a la Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Ooh, we should totally do this. I love Keanu Reeves.
He was not in 2.
Oh.
It was a disappointing film all around. Does have Willem Dafoe, and he does a creepy thing with leeches.
Yeah, but that's just Willem Dafoe. He's a big leech man.
Oh, yeah, classic leechman from way back.
This band, 303, they've been pretty active up through this year. They performed on the Vans Warped Tour this summer, and then they were on Family Feud, and they are currently on a 10th year anniversary tour for the album Want. So, Garrett, we can go, buddy. We can see this magical album performed live in its entirety.
Who's there? I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, as it's typically a question at the end of the show, but who's at that concert?
I don't know, man. Whenever I heard they were from Boulder, Colorado, I immediately thought, cool, we haven't done a jam band yet. I'm in. It's not. It's a confusing mix of... Well, the official genre that they're given is either electropop or crunkcore.
I'm inclined to lean towards crunkcore, having no idea what that is. I don't know if I need to say it, but we've managed to slide right into our general thoughts segment for the show. I cannot tell you what this music is, but I don't like it.
For the vast majority of this, there's no instruments whatsoever. But I will give them this. All the rappers we talked about are just yelling things over music created by others. At least these guys seem to be making their own sick beats. Now, those beats are not very sick. Kind of terrible.
Not terrifically.
They are at least making the music.
Ironically, I get the impression that they write the lyrics and then create a beat to support it.
That's so strange to me. These lyrics, I mean, they are rap lyrics.
Sometimes they're not, though. Sometimes they get a little emo-y.
But I mean, at least the delivery of them.
Oh, yes. I would say we are dealing with 65% rap, maybe even 70. Where I hesitate to go as high as 70 is that in some songs they're rapping in a very traditional manner, but in other times they're basically sing-talking. It's a less talented Cake and a less good voice.
Less good than Cake.
Yep, for talking.
They have also written some songs with Andy Samberg for The Lonely Island.
That makes so much sense. Okay, well, so this is just a big joke.
Well, right, okay, because, right, a lot of these songs, they do sound like they could be SNL digital shorts. This, to me, seems kind of analogous to LMFAO. It's less ridiculous, but I'm not sure, is this intended to be a parody of rap or electronica? It seems like it started out that way, but then at some point, they lost the joke element of it.
Yes, I don't ever want to hear their first album, but I'd be curious to know if it was sillier, and if perhaps on the one that gets released by a somewhat major label, or at least backed by a major label, if that one's where they're like, oh, we better buckle down, and they leaned harder into focusing on the music, when they should have just leaned heavily into making their kind of jokes actual jokes.
I would argue they should have leaned into going to med school.
Well, yeah.
This whole album, to me, it's really douchey. It's white guy rap. Unlike your Papa Roaches or your Fred's Durst, they're not just rapping. They're also trying to rap about the same subject matter with the same bravado.
Their inability to hit the mark and to sound somewhat lame in their attempts, once again, is it on purpose? Is it a joke? Are they doing this with a wink? If you look at the music videos, it further underscores the likelihood that this is all a big joke. Every one of them's stupid. You know who this band reminds me of? And I'll tell you in which specific song later, but I kept getting a real Bloodhound Gang vibe.
Yeah.
So for folks that don't remember, they sang what was that fucking song? You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. I don't remember the name of it.
Discovery Channel.
No, I don't think that's right. Sometimes they actually sound like a worse version of them, but just the general feel where you're listening to it and constantly wondering, one, what style music is this? Because they had sort of a weird white guy rap thing at times, and then at other times punk and rock and all sorts of oddness. And then also, is this a big goof?
Well, you ready for these songs?
I'm just about ready, Tim, but before we dive into the song by song, I am curious, how did you feel? Did you take any of the themes and the story arcs from these songs seriously, or did you kind of shrug most of them off?
Oh, no, Garrett, I took them very seriously. In fact, I wrote an entire musical using these songs Kind of, and mostly in the same order, but creating a whole story all my own.
Really?
No. What kind of fucking asshole would do such a thing?
Well, I feel like you know what I'm going to say. I'm less inclined to call it a musical, Tim. We've done the musical on the show before. What was the band we did that for?
Simple Plan?
Simple Plan. Go back, check out the Simple Plan episode. Wrote an entire musical for it. For this one, I'm going to call it more of a concept album. And the reason being is that I think there's a chance. I'm fully willing to admit that I'm 100% wrong. But when I took a step back and I looked at this album, start to finish, this may reveal the arc of a man who rises to fame only to feel that it's false to him, and the journey he takes to self-realization and understanding what's important to him, all the while struggling violently with a drug and or alcohol addiction.
I'm going to say right up front, that does not sound like a joke.
No, it doesn't, and that's why I'm so confused. Honestly, if it's a joke, great, just lean into the joke, but if it's not a joke, tell the story better, because I had to do some digging, Tim, and we'll talk about each song as we normally would, but then I would like to spend just a fraction of time on how it may relate to the grander vision and possible story that's being told across this album.
Okay.
Then let's dig in. Track number 1, Tap.
Nice little instrumental to start the album off.
Typical electronic music intro. The fully instrumental track. They say nothing. I think that this is kind of... Well, before I knew anything about the album, I was a little confused. I was like, oh shit, it's going to be another LMFAO. Not really. Poor man's LMFAO. Not even. Redheaded Stepchild. Can you even say that now? Yeah. Redheads have no souls.
No,
they have no rights.
Garrett, think about the Irish.
Mm-hmm. I am Irish. What's your point?
Oh, I just assumed they'd probably be offended because of their filthy red hair.
Yeah, but they're used to it.
Okay.
But, of course, we don't get an LMFAO out of this album at all. But I do think in the grander vision that I'll be telling today, it's perhaps the opening soundtrack to the club lifestyle, possibly a strip club, as this gentleman begins his nonstop pursuit of debauchery and self-fulfillment.
Okay. Track number 2, Punk Bitch.
Opens with kind of a jokey line. Come up in the club, I'm about to get my ass kicked.
It seems like lame white guy attempt at making the Lil Wayne type album, but it seems more self-aware. It almost sounds like a Real Big Fish line.
Because ska people are not known for being tough.
Right. And they're also known for being sort of self-deprecating. Mm-hmm. This is verse 1. When I come up in the club, I'm talking mad shit. Come up in the club, I'm about to get my ass kicked because I'm sipping on some gin, sipping on some Jack, slip 60 in her panties with my number on the back. Hopefully a strip club.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now that you've kind of read it in context, there's a chance that this gentleman is just hitting on women by shoving his hand down their underpants. That seems unlikely.
Well,
but not impossible.
If you listen to the delivery of the lines, it is clear they do listen to quite a bit of the rap. And what we've learned from the past few weeks is they say it's okay.
The rap community seems to be pretty accepting of a wide range of activities towards women that this show does not support.
Accurate.
Now, I don't know that I ever heard anyone go so far as to be like, hello, stranger, here's my number written on money in your pants.
Slipped 60 in her panties, so presumably this is a stripper, but you don't give your number to a stripper, Garrett. You know that.
Oh, well, this guy does. I don't. You don't. But this guy definitely does. And I'll tell you why, Tim. What an excellent segue. So what do you think this song is about?
I mean, I think it's just about his experiences in the club, and I think that he is the punk bitch to whom this song refers.
I agree. Now, who has made him the punk bitch is the question, right?
Is he going to get his ass kicked by the lady whose panties he has slipped his hand in?
I think he's trying to express that he is up in the club clowning.
Okay.
So I don't think he's actually worried about being physically beaten. I think he's just saying that he's acting a bit of a fool. Only because there's no point in the rest of the song where he's ever under any real physical threat.
No, in fact, later in the song, he's having a party. He's popping mad bottles. He's dating mad models.
Right. I think that he is, in fact, at the strip club after being made to feel like a punk bitch. And the reason I think that he's been made to feel like a punk bitch is because of the lyrics. You put my picture in a box. It was the one inside your locket. What happened to the keys that used to jingle in your pocket? Now, I don't have a great explanation for half of those lyrics. Maybe it's the key to his heart.
Oh, no, I think it's literally a locket.
Don't lock it. Have keys?
Oh, I think so. Why else would you call it a locket?
Because you can put pictures inside.
It's in the name, locket. You put the picture inside and then you lock it.
How do you spell locket?
Locket.
I've never seen a lock on a locket.
Have you seen many lockets?
3.
Okay, well, as a person who has seen many more than 3 lockets, I can tell you that almost all of them have a key.
My locket experience, Tim, actually goes all the way back to age 11 when I purchased a locket for a young lady I was dating. Unfortunately, one of my good friends, while I was calling her on the phone to see if she liked the locket, made the mistake of bragging that I had purchased it at Montgomery Ward.
Is that not a classy place?
It is not where you buy jewelry.
Oh.
When you're 11, it is. You know what? I might have been 12. I might have been 18. I know about lockets, and there's no lock on it.
You're moving off the story. What happened? Did she throw the locket back in your face and say, this is not expensive enough for a young lady of my taste?
I think she just threw it away.
But not in front of you.
No. She wasn't looking to crush my little boy heart.
And did you feel like a little boy punk bitch after that?
No. Well, yes.
All right, there it is.
But I couldn't go to a strip club.
Of course
So
not.
I think that this woman has broken up with him or cheated on him. She has wronged him in some way. And so he feels like a punk bitch and he's looking to regain his masculinity and self-confidence. So he goes out to the strip club where he puts the aforementioned money in that woman's underpants.
That makes sense. So, okay, with the locket part, sticking with that, after he talks about the jingling in the pockets, he says, your fingers say come, but your eyes say I should stop it. If I regret all that I've done, I would be trapped inside that locket. What does that mean?
Maybe he is saying she draws him in, she makes him feel as though she wants him, but then if he doesn't behave precisely as she'd like him to, perhaps in that little box, that locket, within the parameters that she deems appropriate, then she wants nothing to do with him. She acts as though she wants him, but she doesn't want him. She wants her idealized version. Okay,
so this being trapped in the side of the locket, by your logic, that's a metaphor. It's not like some sort of magic.
It is not a physical... Well, no. I think at first it's a literal locket, and then playing on the idea of it, now it is a metaphorical locket that he would feel trapped in. She has his heart and he hers, but at what cost?
This is a great song.
It's not, though. I've injected a ton of meaning into meaningless words.
Frankly, all you need to know about this song is the chorus with the robot singing punk bitch over and over again. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, it's not good. Track number 3, Don't Trust Me.
Always pressed to your cheeks while my tongue is on the inside of some other.
Is this song, would you describe it as problematic or sinister?
This might be the song that I have the most notes on. I've tried really hard to understand this. Sinister, maybe? It's Hey, boy, you're right. It really walks a line, and it kind of depends on what the song's truly about.
Whatever it is, it's nothing good.
It opens with kind of the same effect that opens a video Killed the Radio Star. It kind of sounds like somebody singing through a phone.
Verse 1 starts off with a creepy description of his target and a pretty unsettling description of kissing. They say, black dress with the tights underneath. I got the breath of a last cigarette on my teeth. She's an actress, but she ain't got no need. She's got money from her parents in a trust fund back east. Tongues always pressed to your cheeks while my tongue is on the inside of some other girl's teeth.
So here's what I think's happening there, Tim, because I can tell you're troubled. You're looking for answers. You don't want to believe that it's as awful as you think it is.
I've heard the rest of the song, so I know it is, in fact, as awful. But go ahead.
I think what we're hearing there is he is singing about that girl that has made him feel like a punk bitch. She's a trust fund girl. She is an actress, though she doesn't need to be. She's got all the money she needs, and he's been dating her, presumably as he rises to fame as a member or members of this band.
Okay. You shouldn't be putting your tongue on the inside of other people's teeth.
I guess that's the cheek. Oh, the inside. No, that's weird, right?
Yep, it sure is.
Like licking the roof of someone's mouth. You'd need a pretty long tongue to do that, I think.
Well, yeah.
I could probably just barely get my tongue on, behind those front teeth.
Let's not try.
No, not your front teeth. Hypothetical teeth. Jesus Christ, Tim. I'm not putting my tongue anywhere near your mouth.
There's some lines again in here that remind me of Real Big Fish phrasing mixed with kind of a rap sentiment. The tell your boyfriend, if he says he's got beef, I'm a vegetarian and I ain't fucking scared of him.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And then we come to verse 2. Let me read the verse all the way through and then we'll get into it. X's on the back of your hands, wash them in the bathroom to drink like the bands. In the set list, you stole off the stage, has red and purple lipstick all over the page. Bruises cover your arms, shaking in the fingers with a bottle in your palm. And the best is, no one knows who you are, just another girl alone at the bar. Jesus Christ. The X's, that just means the lady is under 21, not necessarily underaged. However, I think it's a little telling that they make such a point of mentioning that she is in fact young.
That's an odd detail, and I had the same weird reaction at first. I even started to write down notes of how old is this hoe?
Well, no, I don't think she's a hoe. She is the victim of this song here.
Well, I'm going to put it all into context for you, Tim. I just want to give you an opportunity to first fully explore it.
Okay. We know she's getting drunk after lying about her age by washing the X's off. But then you get the bruises on her arms. So she's either been abused, maybe somebody in the band has hit this girl, or this is a reference to heroin, which is probably the more likely thing.
Yeah.
Then you've got shaking in the fingers with the bottle. So she's either traumatized or possibly in withdrawal.
I think both.
Okay. But then you get the last two lines. And the best is, no one knows who you are, just another girl alone at the bar. This person's going to disappear. The only reason to be thrilled that somebody is anonymous and alone is if you plan on abducting them.
All right, Tim. These are all very valid questions.
They're not questions.
They're suppositions, then.
Okay.
Allow me to try to untangle this knotted mess that you've woven for us. Listen, I had the same reaction you did. It wasn't until I began to look at this song within the context of the entire album that I began to maybe get inside the mind of 308. As we mentioned, it begins by him singing perhaps about the girl that made him feel as though he were a punk bitch. And he sings the refrain, don't trust a hoe, never trust a hoe, won't trust a hoe because the hoe won't trust me. And as we know, they've been having relationship problems. She's an actress, so I think that he's dating these models, as he mentioned, these actresses, these popular people, these famous people, and he doesn't like who he is around them. He mentions how she's been cheating on him and doesn't think it's a big deal, and so he kind of cheats on her. All the while, Tim, remember, he, I think, is still at this strip club, and he says, she wants to touch me, she wants to love me, she'll never leave me, and several woes sprinkled throughout. I think he is debating with himself, does he bang this stripper? And the stripper, Tim, the stripper is the one with the X's on the back of her hands, because I'm pretty sure you can dance as a stripper / escort, depending on what state you're in, under 21.
Oh, you just have to be 18.
Okay. So she's washed them off in the bathroom, presumably so that she can get a couple drinks in her because she can't boot up H while she's at work.
Also untrue, but go ahead.
Well, not the way she has to do it. I mean, this girl's addicted, so she takes a pretty hard shot. She's not just taking little shots here. Anyway, you're right. It sounds like an America's Most Wanted reenactment. But when he says that he sees her at the bar with the bruises on her arms, shaking in the fingers, just another girl alone, what we're meant to believe is after dealing with these models and actresses and famous people, this is an anonymous girl. This is not somebody that anyone's going to recognize or that he's going to have to deal with other people staring at them. He can just bang this woman that seems to like him only because he gave her $60 in the panties. He's hurt and he is emotionally raw, so he's turning towards this potential whore after feeling as though a hoe betrayed him.
Sure, but he's going to murder her at the end of their lovemaking?
Remains to be seen. I think what you're mistaking, and you could be right, Tim. Like I said, I am not the authority on this. Now, the pieces fit together in a very compelling way, and you'll see that. You have not heard the whole tale, so I can understand how you're skeptical, and that's your role, is to challenge me. Challenge each other, really, in all pursuits, which is why you're not allowed to use spoons.
You know what? I've only gotten better. I will admit soup is difficult, but I'm learning all sorts of new techniques.
Yeah, and you've learned not to lollygag. You've got to move a fork pretty quick if you want to get soup in your mouth.
That's right.
So, Tim, there's a line in this song that we have not discussed. I'm shocked that it wasn't one of the first lines you wanted to discuss.
Oh, I've got it at the end. I'm assuming it's
okay.
The same one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you had addressed all of your lyrics.
Oh, absolutely not. Shush, girl. Shut your lips. Do the Helen Keller and talk with your hips.
He gave in to him. He's banging that dancer?
Yeah, so okay, a couple of things here. First of all, it's laughably bad and cringe-inducing.
It might be the most offensive line we've ever read on this show.
Well, so here's my two ways of taking this. Perhaps he is saying, in a very misogynistic way, that his ideal woman is one that is unable to see or hear, one that is just an object.
Well, he's asking her to do the Helen Keller, yes. He is saying for her to shut the fuck up and bang him.
Right.
Do the Helen Keller, shut the fuck up, and talk with your hips, aka bang me.
Right, yes, but I think that invoking the name at all is implying that his ideal woman, again, unable to...
Well, I think just in that moment, you got to keep in mind, Tim, he's taken home a stripper, and I don't want to besmirch strippers. We are a very sex-positive show, whether you're a stripper, a sex worker, just a regular garden variety whore. We are very pro-slut on this show, Tim.
Yeah, if you just like giving out hand stuff, we're okay with that too.
Absolutely. And whatever it is you are, we don't judge here on the show. But
I don't take your meaning.
That's all right. But you have to imagine, it's not uncommon for some strippers to not be the best conversationalist.
I don't know if you can say that. I think they've probably seen some horrifying shit. I bet they got some great stories.
Sure, but when it's your everyday life, you don't know that you're living a horrifying tragedy, so they don't actually just come out with it. It's the sort of thing they say casually while you're at dinner at Denny's, in between, refilling the coffee huddle.
Oddly specific.
Not the point. Now that he has made the decision to bang this stripper, he doesn't want to talk to her. She's an admitted drug addict. We don't know what she's on. Could be heroin, could be some cocaine to take the edge off. Maybe she's extra chatty. And while she's super on board, he's like, hey, this works better if you shut the fuck up.
People are irritating on cocaine.
That's my point.
It does have some borderline good fatherly advice. Don't trust a hoe, never trust a hoe, won't trust a hoe because the hoe won't trust me. The phrasing, it makes it sound like a really strange sentiment coming from two rich kids from Boulder, Colorado.
I think hoedom stretches across socioeconomic brackets.
Oh, absolutely. But just the phrasing of it.
Sure, but this is a song. What are you going to say? Don't trust a promiscuous woman?
Yes.
Oh, that's why you
can
don't
rhyme
write songs.
Something with woman. My point is that you have given me, because again, you've taken on sort of a father figure to me at times. You've given me this exact same advice.
This is news to me, but I have at most a big brother. We are mere couple years apart. Well, in what way would you look to me as a father figure?
Well, the first thing you said is untrue, but also the beard.
That's true. I do sport a manly,
rugged, even one would say.
It is rugged.
Yeah.
It is rugged. It does command respect. It allows me to close my eyes and look as though they are still open because people are just staring at the beard.
Good to know.
It won't matter, Tim. You'll think that you're going to look up, but the whole time you're just going to be staring at that beard, and I'm going to be dead asleep.
That works for me. One last thing on this song. It's so bizarre to me that this was the first single on this album and also the most popular song they ever released.
Nobody must have ever read the lyrics.
And also, it's not good, just objectively.
Well, sure.
If you're not reading the lyrics, if you're just listening to it, it's not a good song.
It is terrifically bad. We should say that. The music, almost across the board, is not good. Track number 4, Choke Chain.
I got a choke chain for my pistol lane. I got a choke.
Classic question comes to mind with this song, Tim. Does he mean it literally, or is this a metaphor about dogs?
It's unclear. It's really unclear. He says, I got your dogs on a collar, baller. So how you like that? Choke chain for their necks, and I don't think they bite back. Woof woof, how they howl. Get some chow, they bout to growl. Little dogs will kill you, dude, as soon as you let them out. It doesn't sound like... I think he's literally talking about dogs. I'm not sure that it's a metaphor.
That's what I thought at first. And then I looked at the lyrics. He begins the song by saying repeatedly that he has this shit on lock. All right, so it made me ask the question, since it's the first statement in the song, well, sir, what do you have on lock? And what he then sings about is seemingly at first dogs and his ability to control them, but then he says, I got a choke chain for my pit bull lane. I got a shock collar for my Rottweiler. And I started thinking, perhaps after banging that whore from the strip club, and again, we are 100% pro-slut on this show. It's just a simple colloquialism to speed along the show, so please do not take offense. After banging that whore, he is feeling a little more confident, a little more empowered. And much as he felt like he was being held in that locket with that old glitzy, glamorous, famous girl, now that he's got a stripper on perhaps a choke chain or a shock collar, it's unclear if he is dating multiple strippers or if it's just this one stripper. At first I thought it was a stable of whores, but now I think that he's just using the idea of how he controls this woman. So I think he's singing about how the tables have turned for him, and now he is the one in the power position.
But are the choke chains and the shock collars, are these metaphorical choke chains and shock collars, or does he have these women chained up?
I don't think they're chained up. If they are chained up, I believe it's consensual.
Wait, I'm sorry. Explain that concept, because,
Oh.
No, you know what? Don't. It's better if I don't know.
You sure?
Yeah, I feel like that could lead to a lifelong thing that I just really don't need.
Oh, okay.
The music in this song drives me absolutely crazy. There's this annoying high-pitched thing going on in the background that I think is supposed to be in place of like a guitar solo. With every listen, it just made my eye twitch.
I'm glad to hear you noticed that. I believe it's called a punji. It is the instrument most typically associated with what is played by Indian snake charmers.
To be clear, it's not actually being played, right?
Yeah, it's being created through a synthesizer and or keyboard.
Okay. This is the first song on this album that is a re-recording of a song on their first album. I don't know how that plays into your narrative that you're building for this story and for this album, but it was... it's not.
We don't know
unique
how
to
old
this.
the story is.
Oh. Well, but I'm just
Could've only been
saying
this-
it was in a different context, in a different album already, so that could play
Sure.
into it.
Well, perhaps he was just telling a piece of the story, and it wasn't until they hit this album where he felt as though he could tell the whole tale. Now, there's a line in here, Tim, because you asked, is it metaphorical? Is it reality? You were leaning a little towards reality. I'm leaning a little more towards metaphorical or consensual chaining up. But then there's the line. I got my wolf on my white tee. He won't bite me. Fucking with me, and you'll get bitten most likely. Now, Tim, I don't know about you. I'm fairly certain you have seen one or two gentlemen wandering around with a wolf, usually howling at a distant moon on their t-shirt.
Absolutely.
I'm not worried they're going to bite me, should I be?
Yeah, but if you catch it just out of the corner of your eye.
Oh, is that what this is? This is a song about peripheral vision?
That's right. I mean, it's a constant concern. You should be afraid, just as an evolutionary mechanism, you should be afraid anytime you see a wolf or a picture of a wolf, at least for a second. If you start to lose that, someday a wolf is going to eat you. Stay on your toes.
There's another verse in here, Tim, that I would be remiss to mention, though it almost robs me of my own theory. There's a chance that in the middle of this song, the perspective changes, and we are not with our main character, this gentleman, going through the loves and the slings and arrows of love and dominance. But we get the line, he got the drum hits, tell your kid to get a bit of etiquette before he splits his seed to try to spit a little bit of rhetoric. You gotta say, go put it away. I think that maybe this is from the perspective of the stripper who is, as our main character continues to return to visit his lady at work, potentially to pick up other strippers, or just maybe he enjoys watching her grind on other men. He's bringing his bros with him, and maybe one of them gets a little ahead of himself, because it sounds as though that song is saying, hey, your friend just takes his dick out. Maybe talk a little first and try to get her interested. Something like that.
It could also be he has gone to the stripper's house and it is her actual kid, and he's kind of a dick in telling her, tell your kid to get a bit of etiquette. Although then there's the splits his seed part, which I can't explain.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he is at the stripper's house, and as we know, he treats her akin to a dog, practically. And so he just takes his dick out without even asking how her day was or showing any interest in her personal life, where she thinks she's in a relationship, and he just continues to treat her like a mere dog that he has sex with. The metaphor falls apart a bit at the end. Treats her like a dog, comma, someone, two sentences. He treats her like a dog, and also he has sex with this woman he treats poorly.
Yes.
He's not having sex with animals.
Track number 5. I'm not your boyfriend, baby.
Cute little sex toy. I'm not your lion or your tiger.
Finally, Garrett, you've been waiting for this. This is a song about a man standing up in a relationship to demand his rights, to make sure he gets what he wants. You hear it here first, ladies. Stop taking advantage of men.
What are you talking about?
I'm not your boyfriend, baby. I ain't your cute little sex toy. I'm not your lion or your tiger. Won't be your nasty little boy. I'm not your boyfriend, baby. I can't grant your every wish. I'm not your knight in shining armor, so I just leave you with a kiss. You know, he probably just doesn't want to stay over.
Right.
Okay.
It's hard for me to not reference every track that we've talked about. I think he's treating this stripper like utter garbage, and she's treating him like a boyfriend, and he isn't interested in that, Tim. I mean, he just got done calling her some sort of dog.
Well, and chaining her up.
But again,
potentially
I
in
think
front
she
of her
agrees to
child.
that. Let's leave the child out of this. I think that was slang. He is making it blatantly clear. I'm not your boyfriend. He's not a tiger. He's not a lion. And the part where he says he's not her nasty little boy. Now, do you think that she requested, do you think this came up? Is this another example to the show of bizarre dirty talk? Is this the daddy going the other way, maybe? She wants him to be her dirty little boy. And he's like, I'm not Not that. I'm not a dirty little boy. I'm because he was dating models and actresses. Perhaps he's tired of slumming it. He's not her boyfriend. This is just a side piece. And I'm not going to be your little weird sex toy. I'm not, something like that, maybe?
Interesting. I do not like the nasty little boy line. It has kind of a Francis Dollarhide sort of thing to it.
Yeah, only if she says I'll cut it off afterwards.
These guys also want you to know that they are getting brain. And your honey giving me brain, you can catch me watching AI. So presumably he is getting brain while watching the mediocre at best Steven Spielberg film AI.
Yep, I'm going to assume he's potentially sexually aroused by Jude Law.
I can see that.
I'm sure you can.
It's not really relevant.
Let's not go
Was
any
he in
further
that
with
movie?
sentence. Jude Law? Yeah, he plays Gigolo Joe.
I don't think we're talking about the same movie.
The Steven Spielberg movie?
AI.
starring Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah, there's a
Was
gigolo
that jerking
in
off
that?
to that? Yeah, he's a sex robot.
What?
Yeah, this was originally going to be by Stanley Kubrick. Well, you don't know anything about AI.
No.
It's not a very good movie. Remember when they go to the Flesh show, when they're going to destroy all the robots? He's holding the hand of Jude Law because he's scared while they're watching all the robots get destroyed. He's got his little bear.
Vaguely.
Looks like we're watching AI tonight.
All right. Get some Jude Law in my life. The chorus of this song has more of these kind of gangsta sounding lyrics that, again, seem off for these guys. You know I rep this shit. I got it tatted on my skin. Then you fucking with my city. You know I reps this shit. I got my hands up on your chest. Motherfuckers best believe it that you're fucking with the best. He got into med school, right?
I just
Fuck's he
don't
talking
understand.
about?
Right, exactly. And I also don't understand how this in any way relates to the other part of the song.
Sure.
Is he saying he won't be this gentleman who's got his hands up on, that he won't be his nasty little boy?
No, I don't think that's the case.
He spends the first half of the song deriding whoever it is wants him to be their nasty little boy, and then he seems to get into some sort of shoving match.
Perhaps this is one of those classic Lennon and McCartney kind of things where one of the guys wrote one song and another wrote another, and then they just weaved it seamlessly together like A Day in the Life. What I'm saying is this song is our A Day in the Life.
It's not ours, it's 308's.
Yeah, but 308 is for all of us now.
Ugh. Hints of punk-influenced lyrics, the hate of conformity, all these asphyxiated, self-medicated, take the white pill, you'll feel all right, kill the lights people.
Then he also says these children learn fast from cigarette burns.
I love this line, and I'll tell you why. It is sung, and I'm using that word very loosely, as though it is a revelation. These children learn from cigarette burns. I've tried yelling at them. I've grounded them. It turns out extreme physical violence, and they do exactly what you tell them.
Yeah.
Don't burn your children,
No.
but it will get the job done.
Track number 6, I Can't Do It Alone.
Not really fighting me to start this one, are you?
No.
I mean, I have an explanation.
Okay.
As we came out of the last song, the main character of the entire album was fighting with his non-girlfriend stripper bang buddy. They were feuding a bit. She felt like they were more serious than they were, and he was just trying to explain that she was a bit of a vacation from the glitz and glamour that he's used to. And now I think that, as we've mentioned, he continually visits her at work. Again, it's unclear if it's just to see her because he finds her attractive, or to watch her grind upon other men. Some people enjoy that. But when he gets there, finds out she's all yacked up on coke, probably because she's basically been told she's a dog to him, and she was planning on having children with him. So he sings, coked up, her body's all spun around, and seeing her just isn't something I can stomach. He is forced to begin taking care of this coked up stripper, and he's attempting to save this emotionally destroyed woman that he never really wanted to take on as a true partner anyway. He sings, so tell me, baby, pretty baby, that this house is not a graveyard. We'll deal with that in a moment. Tell me how to stay strong and carry you home over corpses of her long-lost fathers and her unborn daughters, because goddamn it, I can't do it alone. So wow, powerful words here. I think this house is not a graveyard is either a reference to her soul, her emotional capacity, or possibly even the relationship that he's now realizing that they are in, despite his best efforts to not become attached. And then he makes reference to the fact that she did not grow up with a father. She has probably had multiple abortions and wished that she had a daughter by now. He realizes he has bitten off far more than he can chew, and he can't do this alone. He's not equipped to handle this. Tim, he's a mess. People with a lot of emotional problems and low self-esteem tend to find each other and then find purpose in trying to fix that other person.
Like what we've done.
Right, but we're both trying to fix each other, and most of our suggestions are only making things worse.
That's, I think, the average way this story goes.
You're 100% right, Tim, because as we talked about, she thought it was a real relationship. She thought she was going to tame this wild stallion.
Stallion can't be tamed.
Stallion can't be tamed.
Does he hit women in this song?
Yes.
Okay. The pre-chorus, back it up if you're talking shit to me. Smack it up if you act a bitch to me. And then stack it up if you fucking riches me. My daddy owns a dealership, the rest is fucking history. So I think he's saying you don't even have the right to talk to me. If you act like a bitch, I'm going to slap you. I can do all of that because I'm super rich and you're a poor stripper.
Right. It really starts to come together here. He's trying to save this poor girl, and now we really learn that he does come from an affluent background. I've been wondering this whole time, is it about the singers, possibly one of the authors in the band? And it could be, but what we really come to realize, in a highly stressful situation, he's hysterical, threatening to hit her because she's being a bitch, but in reality, she's yacked out of her mind. She doesn't know what she's saying. It all comes to a head, and all this kid can say is, my daddy owns a dealership. He's beginning to regret this weird vacation that he's decided to take by beginning a relationship with a stripper, and wants to just go back to that sweet salesman, that assistant manager position his dad's been offering him down at the local Kia dealership.
I think he should take it.
Conversely, some people do claim that the My Daddy Owns a Dealership is a reference to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which I guess it could be, but those people probably didn't take into account the entire arc of this album. But if anyone doesn't know, there were a couple of fraternity-style aliens, and they're both, I think at least one was played by Patton Oswalt, maybe both. They were very rude guests, and they were always drunk, and he would just be like, "Nah, bro, I can hook you up. My dad owns a dealership."
I've never once seen this show. Track number 7, Starstruck. Seems to be a song about catcalling, right?
Yeah. A little bit. I was going to say, we have counting, we have spelling, we have whisper singing. Now, I would like to add to that list of things that this show truly hates, or conversely, 5 signs that you have the right kind of album for this show. Let's add whistling.
Oh yeah. Get ready, John Lennon, Jealous Guy, and Badly Drawn Boy. You're on the chopping block. Nice Legs, Daisy Duke Make a Man Go...
Really nice whistle, Tim.
Yeah, every time I heard this song, I kind of liked it. For one reason, I knew you hated it. You've got to be so jealous that these guys can whistle, and you cannot.
I can whistle.
You cannot whistle.
I can whistle.
Whistle. For anyone that's wondering, Garrett has opened a window so that the wind is blowing in, and he's claiming he can whistle because he's a fucking liar and a coward who cannot whistle.
Everyone heard it. I whistled. Wait, I'm sorry. How does that make me a coward?
Because you won't just admit to it. It's okay to have flaws, Garrett, and one of your flaws is that you absolutely cannot whistle.
So, I just did it.
You absolutely didn't. If that was your whistle, I'm arguing you can't whistle, and 2, that was just you opening a window. But the point is, the first verse of the song is just catcalling. It just does it a bunch of times. Then it gets super creepy in the chorus. He says, I think I should know how to make love to something innocent without leaving my fingerprints out. Now, love's just another word I never learned how to pronounce. He doesn't say love's just another word. He says LOVE's just another word. We fulfill the spelling quota in this album.
Yeah.
He says he's going to make love to something, not someone, something innocent, and do it in such a way that he leaves little to no evidence.
There's no sugarcoating it. It sounds as though he is attempting to make love to a corpse.
Not necessarily. Anything innocent. There's a lot of innocent stuff. There's a couch. There's somebody with cretinism.
Or like a lamp.
Sure.
Probably couldn't violate like a phone.
Oh, you can.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Well, you got to get one of the old ones with the actual receiver. You can do that easily.
Oh, of course.
You talking about an iPhone?
I'm talking about a modern cell phone.
Well, that wasn't really... I mean, in 2008, this was probably written in 2007. I'm sure they had a home phone that they could rape.
What are we talking about?
The other thing that drove me absolutely crazy with this song, there is tons of whisper singing.
It's bad.
Yeah. And it's what he's saying is bad. The whisper is bad. He says, push it, baby, out of control. I got my gun cocked tight and I'm ready to blow. Fucked me.
Nice. He does not say fucked me, you asshole.
It's worse than fucked me. Push it, baby, out of control. I got my gun cocked tight and I'm ready to blow.
This is a troubling one, Tim. This actually might have been the song that caused me to really begin to try to understand this album at a macro level. Independently, the words you just read, they're truly terrifying. They could be a journal of Jeffrey Dahmer for all we know. Love's another word I never learned to pronounce. How do I say I'm sorry? Because the word is never going to come out. Something innocent? My goodness. But allow me to place some context around this. So in the last song, very traumatic. Yacked out on coke, God knows what else, maybe that heroin. She could have been trying to Belushi this whole thing, we don't know, but she was a mess. He's threatening to hit her. He just wants to go back to his normal life, where he's working at the dealership, banging models, hanging out with actresses. It must be quite a dealership. And that's how we get to Starstruck. He is now back on the arm of a very attractive woman, likely somebody people recognize, which is why there's so much catcalling and recognition. But then things get kind of interesting. He finds that he's trying to make love to this woman, or at least be in a relationship with her, and he's incapable, Tim. Love is not a word that he ever learned to pronounce. It's only when he is with his stripper, the craziness, the chains, that I think we can now confirm are, in fact, literal chains. It's consensual, but there's chains. Perhaps he has a room. Because when he does go to make the sex with this new innocent woman, he says, as you whispered so terrifyingly, push it, baby, out of control. He's saying he's ready to party. He has got that gun cocked tight, and he is in fact ready to blow, and he's asking her to push it because this is just the same blasé sex that everyone's used to. He's got to have craziness now. He's dipped his toe into the pond of chaos, and now that he's back with this vanilla ice cream, it's just not doing it for him. I think at some point he talks about his icicle melting.
Ew.
He now misses his stripper, I think.
Seriously, what is the innocent something that he wants to make love to?
That's what I'm saying, is after he's been banging these emotionally and potentially physically battered women or woman, he goes back to what he's calling innocent.
Okay, so innocent compared to a stripper.
Right.
Okay.
Compared to a drug-addled stripper who bangs people that put $60 in her underpants. So we got to get a full picture of this woman, because I don't want to besmirch strippers. This is somebody that has a low self-esteem.
I don't think we should just besmirch this woman or any women. Garrett, I am a champion for women, and I don't think we should.
You're right. If a woman wants to exchange $60 for a long-term relationship with a man, she should be allowed to do that.
Absolutely. And you shouldn't feel like you're taking advantage of her if you're the man in this relationship. That's her choice. She is an empowered woman, and it only cost you $60. Win-win.
It worked out for Julia Roberts in that movie.
Oh, yeah, it did.
You got to assume anytime a woman accepts money in exchange for sex, she's hoping there's at least an outside chance this guy's going to, fall in love with her and take her out of that world.
Cool.
Or maybe she just enjoys having strange and dangerous anonymous sex routinely day in and day out.
Which is also fun.
Absolutely.
Well, not the dangerous. Don't do dangerous stuff.
But they do.
And that's fine.
Tim, I'm so confused. Is it fine or don't do it?
Garrett, sexual politics are confusing.
We should probably move on then.
Here's the thing. I think we should recommend that people not do it, but if you do it, we are accepting and supportive of it after the fact.
Should we be supportive of it?
Yes. We should support all women.
I support all women, but maybe...
in all decisions.
What happens when two women's decisions completely contradict one another?
The universe explodes.
That's not true.
Oh.
Because it's happening millions and millions of times a minute. Because what if one lady of the evening runs a very safe operation, which we would support, and then another lady of the evening does not have any sort of safety net in place, and she's just wandering in and out of any back alley in Oldsmobile? You want me to be supportive of her too, right?
I do. But
I can't be supportive of both and honestly support them because they're doing two completely opposite things.
Garrett, I don't know that we're going to get this solved today. These are complex issues that we need to get Lena Dunham in here and on the air to help talk us through this. That's the only real solution.
You're right. She is our lighthouse so that we do not crash headfirst into the rocks of intolerance, misogyny. God, that's a big one. It's in our nature, Tim. We're men.
Track number 8, Rich Man.
Always go, drinks are on the house, whiskey's on the rocks while you sit sisters on my mouth. I mean, what can
Were
I
you
say?
genuinely disappointed, as I was, that this isn't a cover of either the Gwendolyn Stefani or just the Fiddler on the Roof song?
Yeah, because those are kind of the same song. You have any idea what this song is about?
I think it's about how fame hasn't changed them. They want you to know that they're pretty cool guys. Maybe not the latter thing, but I think they want you to know that fame hasn't changed them.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't calling for a close-up, no clubs, no cars, bitches with the nose job, no dubs, no stars. I'ma do it how I always have. Whiskey in a 40 bag, pissing in the alleyway, out back of where the party's at, new hat, new kicks, bitches with the huge tits, new gats. So they do talk about gats. We found
Okay,
it.
we stand corrected.
I'ma do it how I always do, sleep till the break of noon. I guess it's an ironic thing. On the one hand, they're saying they're not going to change. They're listing all these other ways that they are going to change. If this is an autobiographical song, they were always rich. Like, they were always rich kids. So, sure, coming into success of your own doesn't change you whenever you've always just been spending a shit ton of money. Now they got a
Difference,
gat.
Tim. Right, now they've got a gat. And I think the difference in wealth, before they had to ask their dad to transfer more money, now they have to talk to their business manager.
Okay.
The point of this song is that they're going to go back to their old ways, right? They're going to do it how they always have. They're going to enjoy the money, but they're not going to let it change who they are. And in the context of this album, Tim, I'm sure I don't have to explain it to you. If anybody's not following along, I think we're saying that the gentleman who is tired with the boring traditional intercourse that he was having with the actress or model that he went to after the stripper, he is now saying, you know what? I'm going back to the old ways. I'm a delinquent. I like whiskey in a 40 bag and pissing in alleyways, and I like banging strippers. I like chains. I like it to be borderline terrifying, and I like going to strip clubs and watching my lady grind on dudes. That's what I'm hearing. Bitches with the huge tits. Yeah, I think he's saying, I know who I am. It's the strip club guy, not this son of a dealership mogul. I'm a scumbag.
Okay. And I mean, it's great. You know what? If you're a scumbag, don't pretend to be a rich kid from Colorado when deep inside you're a D-Antword. Let it out.
Right.
Let out your inner D-Antword.
And I think this musical expression is their attempt to do that.
So some more lyrics here. Party till I'm 50. Wake up on my parents' lawn. Them cops still out to get me. Talking to a rich skank. Filled up like a sperm bank. I'ma go where I always go. Drinks are on the house. Whiskey's on the rocks. While your sister's on my mouth.
Strip club.
Okay.
The lyrics that I liked, Tim, and they didn't make any sense to me. And if I was a rich man, I'd have never been to sea. Could I take you anyways?
This is another Why I Hate This Album PSA that we have to give. If somebody admits up front that they have never been to sea, do not let that person take you out to sea. They do not know what they're doing. Best case scenario, you will be trapped in the Atlantic Ocean for upwards of 3 months with just this other person. Doesn't matter how rich you are. You don't know how to sail. Fuck you.
I mean, it could just be a yacht.
Well, all right. The point is, you're likely to get trapped at sea with this person.
Right.
Also, I would argue if you were a rich man, you would have been more likely to be out to sea.
I would think so. And that's kind of what's tripping me up. Are the two related?
I don't know.
Do rich people hate the sea?
If only we knew some.
I don't know. Well, we also don't live near the sea.
True.
Track number 9, photo finish.
On a safe bet, walking a tightrope with a safety net. Face it doesn't mean
We're not big fans of joke spelling on this show, but they spell photo finish, photo, and then the finish like the language. And it did make me giggle a little bit. It's stupid.
Yeah, but you love the finish.
I do love the Finns. I used to be able to speak a brief amount of Finnish, but the man who taught me had a lisp. So I technically only know how to speak a limited amount of Finnish with a lisp.
I don't like this song, Garrett. It starts off with fat lip type vocals in the refrain that for some reason opens this song. Do you understand? There's a line in here, motherfuckers fucking like they know me. Can you explain?
No.
Okay.
No. Maybe, Tim. Read it again.
Motherfuckers fucking like they know me.
I think I know. So, as we discussed, he is made the decision to go back to his old ways. He's done with this Ice Princess vanilla intercourse without the chains and the violence and the emotional damage. So what he's saying is he's breaking up with this woman. He's saying, you always hedging on a safe bet, walking on a tightrope with a safety net. Face it, it doesn't mean shit unless you take a risk. Shush, baby. Shut your mouth, because you're not part of this time. So he's letting her know he's made this decision. He's going back to his roots. He's going to live like a true scumbag. He's going to enjoy his money, but he's not going to try to pretend to be anything more than he is. And he's tired of this woman fucking him like she knows knows him, when in reality it's boring as could be.
Okay.
That's the best I got. I'm sorry, I've focused a great deal on my grand universal theory of what this album is about, and I think it's holding true through 9 songs, but I do want to point out we've been largely ignoring the music in here, and it's mostly because it's inexplicable, right?
Yeah.
And not just this song, but all of them. There's rap. At times it sounds like it's them truly trying to rap. At times it sounds like they're going to burst out laughing at any moment. Sometimes it's just white guys sing-talking, and as we get further into it, things take a even stranger turn.
Track number 10, Still Around. One compliment I will give them on this song, there is an actual identifiable instrument, and that is a nice break.
Sure, good at playing the piano.
Yep. However, Sean Foreman's vocals on this sound very Fray-like to me, and that is not a compliment.
First note I have here, right there, is this the Fray? What's happening?
As far as I can tell, this song seems to be mostly about how they love drinking.
For sure.
And I know what you're thinking, that won't stop this drinking. It's the least I can do. When they close the final curtain, you'll get a glimpse of the truth.
And we should mention, like, as we said, this is a man singing over a piano.
Well, it starts that way. The synthy techno stuff does kick in.
But he is singing. There's no raps.
Right, yes.
Tim, for me, I think I know exactly what's going on here. Our main character has now shown back up at that strip club, and he's drunk as a monkey. He's ready to declare his love to this stripper, or at least what he believes love to be, his willingness to bang her, I guess.
And use the chains and the whips in the room.
Right, but Tim, she's working, and this guy's hammered, and all he wants to do is declare his love for her, but he gets kicked out. I mean, they're not going to permit you trying to make out with a dancer while she's on stage. She's at work. That's her place of business. If you came in drunk trying to make out with me at my work, that'd be a big problem.
Yes, but you have an office, so we could just go to your office.
Right, but we wouldn't.
Right, no, of course. But I'm just saying we could get away with making out at your office without anyone knowing or caring.
At least one person would care.
Well, anyone outside of us. My point is, there would be no bouncer to kick me out of your work if I came to your work with making out on my mind. I wouldn't do that, of course, because of the beard. I really
wish I hadn't chosen this as an example. Anyway, I think he gets drunk, he shows up, and we get the lyrics, "Go ahead and burn it down. I'm drunk and so is everyone else in this devil town. You won't let me turn around to get one last look at my baby." So I think there, he's getting kicked out. He's just like, let me just see her. Let me just see her. Let me just see her. I just want to see her. All right, dude. And then I think he gets banned because he makes a big scene, probably tries to fight the bouncer. And she's screaming at him because she's, the owner's threatening to fire her. I'm sure this isn't the first time an exceedingly fucked up gentleman has come in to profess his love to this woman.
And then the chorus for this is, "Well, she's still around." So she's always going to be there. So she's still there at the strip club.
Right. Even if he can't go there.
Yeah, he knows.
He can find her.
That's right. He can wait in that parking lot.
You're right. Or possibly at her house. I think he's been there before. And what's funny is he does say, go ahead and burn it down. I think, Tim, there's a chance he burned down this strip club. And the reason I think he may have actually followed through on that threat is that there's another verse where he says, go ahead and build it up again. This city's just cemeteries and forgotten men. Once again, referring to her empty ghost town of a soul and the fact that he is just this forgotten man who cannot seek happiness without seemingly investing himself deeply in chaos.
They're very Fray lyrics, though.
Oh, for sure.
This city's just cemeteries and forgotten men. My only hope's to see you, and even if I never do, well, she's still around. Like, I could see that stupid bald fuck singing that.
Absolutely. Only in some way it would be an insult to his little brother.
Caleb deserves it. He brings it on himself.
We still have an open Caleb watch. We cannot confirm or deny where Caleb is to this day.
You think about how big the Fray was? Surely a person that had been in that band and had bore witness to the creation of that album would be able to, in his second band, recreate that success on his own.
Or at least a considerable fraction of that success, enough to be findable on the internet past 2013.
Right.
Caleb, where are you?
Track number 11, Holler Till You Pass Out.
Well, things are troubling again, Tim.
Yeah.
Is he threatening a woman because she won't call him back?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna hit you from the back and make you holler till you pass out. Holla back. holla back. I think he's leaving a series of very troubling voicemails.
Sure, and I hope that's the case, because otherwise, I'ma hit you from the back and make you holler till you pass out is worse.
Well, it's tough to say, and I think that he may be using this line to represent a number of different actions throughout the song. So perhaps at the beginning, he is saying, call me back. I know I got drunk and I burned down your place of business, and now you don't have a job and you got to go get a job at the tuna can plant, but, call me back, or, I'll strike you. I think that there's a chance that he's left the glitz and glamour to be with the one that he truly believes will make him happy, and now she won't give him the time of day, and he feels owed for all that time he spent trying to save her life when she OD'd on heroin and cocaine. He sings, "If you got a neat stash, give me half, and if you roll up on some cash, give me half," which I think is odd. Perhaps he's not on talking terms with his father. Maybe he broke off an engagement to that lovely young lady, that model and or actress, and his parents aren't talking to him. Yeah. But he still feels as though this woman should support him much as he supported her. And then he says, "And if your mama's in the back, give me half." I don't know if he's banging her mom.
Well, just halfway.
Oh, okay. And then he finally says, "And I got that base bat." So again, he is threatening, first call me back and give me half your shit because you owe me, because I saved your life, maybe, including half your mom. And if you don't, I'm going to hit you with a baseball bat.
Sure.
I hope he didn't leave all that on her voicemail. No one's calling that person back.
No. It does if you got some neat stash, give me half. And if you roll up on some cash, give me half. That has a very junky flair to it. Perhaps she has gotten him hooked on the heroin. Yeah.
Wow, Tim. Excellent addition. I think you're 100% right. As we noted, he's now living in sin, right? He's much as the alcoholic who remains on the wagon for years and decides to have that one beer. He has tipped the scales. If he's going to go in, he's going to go all in. And so he's doing H. He's getting probably not even cocaine. He's probably just doing crack.
It's cheaper.
Save a little money. It's way cheaper. I think you're right.
This was also on the first album. Good enough to bring back.
Weird.
This whole verse is kind of interesting because it seems to imply that Boulder is the hood.
And it's lovely.
Yeah, it's a delightful town. Use a punk bitch if you don't know about Boulder. Your girl's a freak, because that's what I told her. You think you're tight, but my ice gets colder. In Colorado, fighting with my soldiers. You know we clean, never smoke in that doja. Colorado does in fact have some small-time gang problems. And again, I'm not insulting you. I'm not calling you small-time. Please don't murder me.
Relative to the population density.
Yes, and I think this is a wild mischaracterization of Denver, Boulder, Colorado in general.
And their participation in the crime culture of those greater areas.
Sure.
So then I think, Tim, after he has called her, she doesn't call him back, he has demanded that she give him things so that he can feed his habit. I think he then shows up at her house and he wants to bang. He sings, "Is it getting hot?"
First he wants that H, though.
Well, of course. Of course he wants that H, or at least some cash so that he can score. Then he says, "Is it getting hot in here, or is it just me?" I said, "Hey, yeah, shake your ass now. I'ma hit you from the back and make you holler till you pass out." I think now that they're there and he's gotten his fix, he's now saying that he's going to have intercourse with her from behind until she hollers with pleasure and goes to sleep.
Cool.
It's very interesting because he is treating her horribly, yet he has managed to weasel his way back into her life. Perhaps, Tim, he was really truly leveraging the drugs to get back in there. Maybe he has cash or he has some H and he gets in the door and then she's got her fix so she doesn't care anymore. Takes advantage of the situation and now they're sort of together, although I'm sure he'd be willing to cheat on her.
Cool.
I should mention that I truly hate this album, and the reason that I have done this and read so much into these lyrics is because on face value, if you took them for what they literally must mean, they are pointless and a giant waste of time.
Yes, they are pointless and a giant waste of time. Track number 12, Colorado Sunrise. Actual identifiable instruments again, that's a plus.
It's another weird turn for this album.
There's a line in here that implies he's only ever made one mistake in his entire life. He says, "I got 5 fingers on each hand for every mistake that I've ever made."
So he's made 10 mistakes.
No. For every mistake that he has made, he has 5 fingers on each hand.
So he's made 2 mistakes.
Right.
I don't think that's what he meant.
I think so. Well, maybe. It's a confusing way of phrasing it if it's not. But that can't be right, because I would argue there's at least 10 mistakes on this very album.
Yeah, and I'm speaking purely musically, and if it's in any way autobiographical, as we're sure that it is, he's made many other mistakes, like heroin, unsafe sex practices.
Yeah, which again, we support.
Well, we support the woman's choice to participate in unsafe sex practices. We don't support the man's.
Oh, true. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed.
I don't give a shit about this song, Garrett. Do you have any stunning insights?
Well, I think that it's a nice way to wrap up the album, at least from a narrative standpoint. So it's the next morning, right? They've gotten back together. They're scoring H together. He's banging her. I'm going to say she's consenting, but I think it's probably more tacit than we'd like, at least than you and I would care for. And he admits in the morning, as they snuggle, or possibly just after settling into another hazy nod, that he's made some mistakes, but he does subtly kind of imply that he's not really going to change. He says, I'm a shade too pale for handsome, and I have habits I can't shake. But if you try to take them from me, well, I'll never be the same. So I think it's safe to assume that he's going to continue down this road, and that while they will be together, remember that episode of Breaking Bad where one of the characters gets a cash machine dropped on their face?
Yes.
I feel as though that's in their future.
He talks about where they're living, presumably if this is in the future. A room, a single wall, which I don't understand what that means. I couldn't pay a plant to grow. You can try to make this pretty, pick up all my dirty clothes, and if you never really get me, then I guess you'll never know the train wreck that I am. Not a particularly bright picture of his future that they're painting.
Well, the really sad part is that he can take this vacation from life for a decade. Ultimately, he's going to go back and have that Kia dealership to rely on. This woman is just wasting away her life.
Oh, absolutely. That's what they do, Garrett. That's what the 303s do. They trick you into wasting their life, and then they go back to their nice, cushy, rich boy thing.
Are they in any way gaining some sort of sustenance from robbing people of their potential?
So you think these are potential vampires?
Potentially.
Terrible.
It's a terrible
Just
name.
Terrible.
But they do seem to feed, and this guy literally does, at least sexually, feed upon disaster and trauma. And boy, this might be just a classic sorrow sucker. This might be a sorrow sucker trying to lead a normal life. A closet sucker.
Gross. What if it only works with strippers? Then you've got like a stripper sucker.
Whoa, boy.
Tramp sucker? That's got a fun ring to it. It's a little degrading to women, but it's got a good ring to it.
Tramp's a funny word. Let's all agree tramp's a funny word. And it can cut both ways. In this instance, we're talking about a woman, but there's male tramps.
Oh, are there?
I would argue that there's more male tramps. Yeah, it's hard to know whether or not these people are sustaining themselves, because I don't think so. I think it's more recreational.
Yeah, they're tourists. They are poverty
Disaster
tourists. Oh, disaster tourists works, yeah.
What did you call them?
Poverty tourists?
Ooh, I like poverty tourists. Boy, but they're sort of agents of change. They're destroying other people's lives recreationally. What do they call people that just drop into your life, waste about 8 or 10 years, and then disappear, and you can never seem to get that time back? A real Tim?
No, well, maybe. That's actually closer to accurate than I would care for, but sure. Some sort of Tims.
Some sort of Tim sucker?
Nope. Nope.
A Tim tourist.
Ooh, I like that. I love alliteration.
It's very obscure, though.
I think people know what you mean. Everyone's got a Tim in their life.
That's true. I think poverty tourist or disaster tourist, disaster driver, kind of driving the bus towards...
Yeah, disaster driver. I like it.
I don't know, guys. Listeners, if you got something better, let us know. But Tim, we've given these songs far more due than they ever deserved. So I think it's time to move on. How did this thing do?
Fairly mediocre. It peaked at number 44 on the Billboard 200 chart. The only sales figure I could find was that it has sold 455,000 copies in the US, but that number is over 8 years old, so it's probably gone up. The singles for this did pretty well. Don't Trust Me hit number 7 on the Billboard 100 singles chart. It sold almost 3.5 million digital singles in the US.
Wow.
But that number is also 5 years old, so it could be more. It's their best-selling single thus far. Starstruck sold over 1 million copies in the US. It only made it to number 66 on the Billboard Top 100, but it was a number 1 single in Ukraine on the FDR Pop Singles chart, and it made it to number 2 in Belgium.
How very odd.
That maybe included the remix featuring Katy Perry that's not actually on this album. I don't know. Ukrainians love Starstruck.
That's so strange. I used to work with a bunch of Ukrainians. That's a shame. I guess I could still reach out to them.
Yeah, give them a
ask
call.
them if they know this band.
What do you
Weird.
do?
It's not important.
No, but I mean, you leave for 8 hours a day. Sometimes you go on trips, sometimes weekend trips, sometimes you come back a little banged up. What do you do? You've never told me. I've never asked.
I consult. You have asked repeatedly. You asked last week. You fuck. I consult, Tim.
Okay.
I help people realize the impossible. I'm a problem solver.
How delightfully vague.
It's truly not.
It is.
That's actually what I do. I cover a wide range of difficulties that businesses may face, and I find creative and innovative solutions to lead them to their desired goals.
Do individuals or governments ever hire you?
Yes.
Good to know.
It made some money, nothing to shake a stick at. What did people think of it?
Critics seem to kind of dismiss it. It got mixed to negative reviews. One line that I enjoyed particularly, "Want is the electro trash revolution gone horribly wrong, creating a brand new genre to dread, fratcore hip-hop." I think that's fairly accurate.
All right, Tim, what did the man on the street have to say?
Amazon had 41 reviews, 4 out of 5 stars on average, 71% 5-star, 15% 1-star. The first review I have for you is from 2008, right after this was released. It's called Simply Amazing. This CD is simply amazing. The style of their music is unique, and it turns out to be very listenable and enjoyable. Their beats usually consist of a heavy bass line laced with some techno beats. They turn out to be incredibly catchy and suit their music very well rather than just sampling done by most artists nowadays. In their single, Punk Bitch, when the chorus/bridge starts, the beats start to ramp up and you can feel the tempo change. Truly remarkable for a debut album. Not a debut album. Their rhymes, while not on the same level of other rap duos such as Blue Scholars, Gangstar, or Pete Rock and CL Smooth, are entertaining and at times meaningful. It usually varies from shouting/yelling the lyrics to clean singing. Here's an example of a really good verse by them in the song I'm Not Your Boyfriend, Baby. Kill the lights these children learn from cigarette burns, fast cars, fast women, and cheap drinks. It feels alright. All these asphyxiated, self-medicated. Take the white pill, you'll feel alright. This verse is not only a point about teenagers/women nowadays, but kids' behavior nowadays. Most of the people who listen to 303 see them as a comedy rap group, but I see them as something better than that. 303 is one of the best modern groups I have seen nowadays, and actually has substance, unlike brain-dead rappers such as Soulja Boy or Lil Wayne. Check this band out, or go see them at the Warped Tour. They are amazing live. This band deserves the support for their hard work and great music. 23 people read that and were like, that was helpful.
Good Lord. That was terrible.
Yeah.
How dare that person in any way compare that band to Gangstar? Like, that's a real group. This is garbage.
Yeah. I don't know. That was the only one that I recognized other than the Soulja Boy or Lil Wayne.
Any others?
Yeah. Compliments Your Night by Laura Kay from 2008. I'm sure you're familiar with Don't Trust Me. But what about the rest of the album? If you're expecting the same thing, I'm afraid you're out of luck. But you won't be disappointed. The entire album flows very nicely. It complements the mood perfectly. What mood, you may ask? Let me put it this way. It energizes the party while simultaneously encouraging scandalous behavior. The album will not let you down unless you're planning a family reunion with your Southern Baptist cousins. 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
So she wants to bang to this.
Yeah. I mean, as we have noted, we do not support sex and music.
No, absolutely not. And specifically not to this music.
Right. Although perhaps this music would be easier than music I would enjoy. Is it easier to have intercourse? Is it easier to make love to music you like or music you hate?
Depends. Is this hate making love?
No. It's just my thinking being that the reason I don't want to listen to music during the sex making is that when I listen to music, it distracts me to the point where typically if I really like the song, I will sing along or I'll begin thinking about it.
Yeah. But here's the thing. If it's a bad song, you're going to be constantly jumping out of bed to write notes for this show.
Well, ideally it wouldn't. No, Tim, I purposely would never listen to an album
that makes you think of me. Well,
yeah, that's for sure. But to have sex to an album we're doing for this show is creepy. It's beyond creepy. Like, what am I trying to combine there? And I want to be clear, I would never ever do that. That's so weird.
Give it a try. One more review. This is a short one by Emily from 2014. It's called I saw the label that this was explicit, but ... I saw the label that this was explicit, but didn't realize how awful the lyrics were. So degrading and violent. Will not be buying anything from this band again, and I will be sure to review my purchases more clearly in the future.
She should hear 6ix9ine.
That's exactly what I was thinking. They're so much worse.
This was so tame.
I do agree that the lyrics are awful. I just don't think it's in the same way that she is.
It offends her virgin Jesus ears. All right, Tim, good reviews. Let's ask the important questions. Who's this for?
I think it's white kids from Colorado who don't like jam bands and who want to like Lil Wayne but can't quite handle it. And also probably robots.
Interesting. I didn't think about the robot angle. I don't think this is for anyone. I think that this is for a select few people that maybe knew them in the area. Boy, I don't know. Maybe
exclusively for friends of the band.
Yeah, but they sold too many albums for that to be true. I think it is for people that were freshmen in high school that had no musical taste the year this came out.
Sure.
All right, Tim, final thoughts. What have we not said about this?
The only issue is my final answer to the question, the big question, largely depends on, are they joking? Is this parody?
And I feel like I may have only muddied that water.
No, I don't think they're joking. At the very least, I think they believe their own bullshit. And that's enough for me to say it's too serious for me.
I think it's safe to say they're not joking, but they think they're very funny.
Yes, they do seem to think they're at least clever.
And I would disagree. The music is not even worth addressing. It's just bad. It's mostly electronic, except for when he plays piano, and even then they tend to ruin it by over-amplifying it or something. It becomes weirdly distorted. Not since maybe The Fray have we had an album where less is said.
True.
Which is funny because there is more happening in this album than, say, a 6ix9ine or a Lil Wayne. But I don't know why it's all so... Well, you know what we didn't mention, Tim, is half of these songs are literally the same song, just doubled. So it's a 3-minute song, but it's really a 90-second song.
Right.
They just sang the whole song twice.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs that have a single verse, or at least a couple songs that have a single verse.
There's just nothing there. If I hadn't gone painstakingly deep to attach an entirely ludicrous yet fully defendable set of theories about this entire album as a concept album, what the fuck would we talk about? There's nothing here, man.
Electropop.
Yeah. Well, that just leaves the big question, and I think I already know the answer. Tim, do you hate this?
Yeah, I do. It's not very good. I don't like it. I don't want it. The world needs more doctors, Garrett, and it needs less of whatever this is. They made the wrong choices.
I do like that I've reduced the odds of getting this asshole as a doctor.
That's true. Do you hate this album?
I sure do.
All right. Didn't get you anywhere, but you got me somewhere.
All right. I did get you there.
Yes. Thank you. You have to say it. It's the rules.
It is. To hate, of course, to all our new listeners. I got Tim to hate the album. I didn't get him anywhere other than to hate it. Nothing weird, despite how Tim might say it and imply that something happened here in the studio. Nothing happened.
I got there. And you had a hand in getting me there.
All right, Tim, let's wrap this baby up. As always, please rate, review, subscribe if you can. It makes a big difference. We're always looking to climb up in the rankings. And if you can tell your friends, people you think would like it, if you can rate it on iTunes, rate it on Google, rate it on Spotify, rate it on Facebook, rate the show there. You can go to facebook.com/hatepod. Those ratings make a big difference. They move us up again in the rankings, and then more people see the show, more people listen to the show, and the show gets better. We like to hear from you, what you like, what you don't like, funny stories, suggestions. We've been getting great suggestions. This thing was a nightmare. You guys really know how to torture us. You can submit those you can either go to hatepod.com and click on contact us, do it there, or you can email us directly at hatePodMail@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter at albumhatepod. Instagram is hatepod. I think that's it. For Why I Hate This Album, I have been one of your hosts, Garrett Harvey.
I have been and continue to be Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.